Welcome everyone to our webinar for building a customer obsessed culture. And this specific webinar is on the customer support side. So my name is Laura Musa and I'm a customer success manager here at Textline. And what I want to discuss with you today is how you can build a customer obsessed culture using texting, and specifically looking at it from the customer support angle. So in this webinar today, I will present to you the concept of customer obsessed culture, and then I will also go over some of the features of Textline that you can use in order to achieve that with your customers. So companies that look beyond just winning a deal and focus on post-sale customer experience are seeing a major bottom line impact. 80% of these companies have an uplift in revenue, and 79% recognize cost savings. However, most B2B company marketers and sellers are spending 80% of their effort trying to attract and close new opportunities instead of making existing customers more successful. So the way Steve Jobs put it is that you need to get closer than ever to your customers, so close that you tell them what they need well before they realize it themselves. So customer obsession is basically, it's a new trend, a recent trend that allows and empowers companies to show more value to the customers. It reminds you that the reason you have this company or you work at this company is because of your customers. So being customer obsessed means understanding who your customers are, being close to your customers, and giving them the best possible experience that you could offer them. All right, so why is customer obsessed culture important, and why more and more companies are following the path of Steve Jobs and Amazon? All of the successful companies really embrace this concept, and that is because focusing on retention is a more cost-effective strategy than trying to get new customers. So attracting new customers costs companies 6 to 7 times more than retaining existing customers, and just a 5% increase in customer retention means 75% increase in companies' profitability. So I feel like I need to repeat this because the numbers are really strong. So just a 5% increase in customer retention can bring 75% increase in your company's revenue. So it costs you less to to build a customer obsessed culture, and it's a very clear and easy revenue generator. So how do you do that, and how do you show that to your customers? Well, by showing them that you respect them, by valuing them, and showing them that you really understand that they're smart people, that they chose your business, but they're savvy, and they really want to communicate with you. They really want to feel that they're part of your brand. So it's important that you try to anticipate your needs and you try to engage with them in meaningful interactions in order to create value with them. When you're being personalized and you're creating unique conversation with your customers, you show them that you truly and really care for them, that they're important for you and your company. And that gives you a lot of value, because the closer you are with your customers, the easier it is for you to learn not only what your customers need, which is really important, but also what the competition is out there. Your customers nowadays keep changing a lot. They change the products they use. Products are really easy to implement, so it's not hard for them to just see what else is out there in the market and to pick the product that will provide to them a better value and a better experience. So you want to create loyal customers by making their decision emotional and giving them those reasons to be emotional in the relationship with you. But you also want to know, how you can improve your product in order to compete with other products out there. So you need to turn your customers into fans who believe in you, advocate for you, and keep coming back to your business. And the reason for that, like we said, it has a lot of benefits. Not only it creates revenue for you or increases revenue for you, it is a very easy revenue generator for you, and also a very easy way for you to keep improving and iterating your product. And Jeff Bezos from Amazon is another great example of customer obsession culture. He's spoken about it very publicly and openly, and a great example is the Amazon Prime service. So he said that they didn't ask their customers if they would like that product. Their customers didn't ask for that specific product or feature in the product, but being close to their customers and having that culture where they value their customers and they're their top priority made them believe that Amazon Prime would be a product that their customers would need, and it definitely was, and we all know why. So the way he puts it is that we need to start with the customer and work backwards. So start with who the customer is, what the customer needs, and then work backwards. So I think this give here pretty much pictures exactly what I'm trying to say here. So you want your customers to feel that they're obsessed with them. You want them to feel that they're part of your brand. And how do you achieve that? By resolving their issues quickly, by always remembering who they are, knowing what their needs are, what they're looking for, and being proactive. Don't expect them to come asking for something. Be there ahead of them and offer that to them. And then engaging with them in more personal communications in a friendly way. So just being friends with your customers, basically feeling that they're part of your brand and that they can align with you and feel that you have the same goals, you have the same values, and that you move forward together. Now, speaking of speed, I think it makes a lot of sense to everyone why speed is really important. So as you know, people nowadays, including us and myself, I don't have time to, just try and call and speak with an agent and wait in line to speak with someone, or have to go through an automated message and just hit 7 different clicks in order to get to the agent that I want to, and then wait until that agent is off the call with someone else so that they can speak with me, and then wait until for them to go and speak with a manager or ask a question around, right? That takes time. It takes a lot of commitment, and it takes a lot of effort for someone to even just pick up the phone and try to get their issue resolved. So speed is really important. Think about what is it you want your customers to experience with you. How do you want them to resolve their issues? How fast do you want them to resolve their issues? And then think how you can incorporate that into your workflows. So this is something that you can very easily do through texting. Instead of having one person addressing and resolving issues for another person, another customer on the line, you can have one agent troubleshooting for 3 customers at the same time. And not to mention that that your agent doesn't need to call someone else to ask for a question within the team. They don't need to get off their desk and try and go around and ask for approval or clarification or support from another agent in the team. They can do all of that in TextLine. So how they can do that? They can escalate internally. So a manager can always be part of your team of agents. They can be looking for any conversations and offering help while you text one customer and you wait for them to text you back. You're texting another customer, and then while they text you back, you text another customer. And if you have a question, instead of going outside of your desk, you can just be in TextLine, type a whisper, ask someone else in the team, bring them on the ticket that you're actually working on, and have them work with you, even answer to the customer directly, or just provide you an answer within the whisper so that you can provide that solution to your customer. So the other thing I want to touch here is, how do you create that experience for your customer, and how do you keep track of that? So we work with companies that their SLAs are 15 seconds, and we work with companies that their SLAs are 10 minutes. It depends on you. It depends on what experience you want to give to your customers. And I can say that it's pretty doable. And how it's doable, it's because you can automate. So in TextLine, I mentioned I mentioned the whisper feature, where you can add a note to someone else in your team and they can provide you with help, or you can transfer. So if that's a question that you need to escalate, you can just transfer to another agent. And your customer on the other end won't even notice that, but they'll keep receiving answers to their questions. And then you can use shortcuts. Shortcuts are macros or templates. So they're templates, we call them shortcuts. And basically they're pre-populated messages that you can type to your customer. Or actually you don't type, you just enter the shortcut. So it's just a click away instead of typing the same type of responses again and again. So if you identify any answers or any text messages that they create kind of a pattern and they're very similar every time and they're very common in your communications, just make those into a shortcut. And then instead of typing the same answer, you can just enter a shortcut. You can add variable fields in your shortcut so that the text, the shortcut is personalized. So instead of saying, "Hi there," you can say, "Hi, Edward." So that Edward feels that you know who they are, you know their name, and they don't have to wait for you to type the whole answer, and you just have it on a shortcut and it goes out pretty way faster. Automations is another way to do that, and we'll talk more about it later. So you can keep things very neat and very efficient, and then you can track that. So as you can see here, this customer reached out proactively, as it seems, to, this agent reached out proactively to their customer, trying to schedule them for an appointment. The customer responded within a couple of hours, and then the agent just within a couple of minutes responded back to them. But when they sent the first message, they resolved the conversation, and that shows me that they're tracking their time to resolve. They're tracking their team's speed, basically. So this is a real example from one of the companies that are using TextLine. So they sent this first text, but they don't necessarily expect a response. So they resolved it. When the customer responded, the conversation opened up again. The agent responded right away. The customer also responded really fast. And then the agent responded, they set a time, and they resolved the conversation again. So what you can track here is time to resolve, and what you don't see here is time to first respond. So these are two different metrics. As you can see, and it makes a lot of sense, the time to resolve, it will show you how long it takes for an issue to get resolved. So that will give you a sense of how effective the communication is. Do your agents use a lot of back and forth text messages? Could they ask more questions in the same text so that they eliminate the back and forth? Or does it mean that the issues are more complex and there's something in your product that you could change so that you can resolve issues faster? That's what the time to resolve will tell you. And this is a metric that you can track on your metrics dashboard on your account if you're an admin. And the first time, the time to respond, that will show you how fast your agents are responding to incoming conversations. So basically that is your SLA. So you can track both. You can, ask yourself, what is that you want to track? What is that you want your customer experience to be? And based on that, you can decide what is that you want to track, communicate those SLAs with your team, add those steps to your workflows, and just make things, speed up things a lot. Another thing that helps in building, that culture of customer obsession is always knowing who your customers are. I'm sure you all have a story to share when you try to, or every time you call the same service, they ask you for your personal information. That can be pretty frustrating. I have to do that every time I call my daughter's doctor. I have to go through a whole menu, automated menu of options until I get to someone who answers the phone, and then I have to repeat every time her name, her date of birth, her full address, and then I have to do the same for myself just to prove who I am. So it's pretty frustrating when I have an issue and I have a question that I really want to resolve right away, to have to repeat every time who I am and what the issue is. So it's really, it really changes the experience when you just text someone. You don't even have to call them, and they know who you are. And this example here is great. This is a company who is a rehabilitation center, basically. And you can see that one of their patients texted them, and they share a lot of personal and sensitive information. So you can understand that you don't want to share that information over and over again every time you need to contact one of your advisors at the rehabilitation center or one of your consultants. You want them to remember what your issue is, what your situation is, and who you are. So what you see here is that company creating a whisper, which is an internal message. The customer can't see that, with additional information about this patient. And the whisper is this little icon here on your message composer on your account. So what I recommend doing, in order to always remember who your customers are, is adding some fields, or actually, let me take a step back. The two ways to kind of, the two buckets that I would add the information is, one, it's information that you always need to pull up every time you communicate with that customer. So that's the basic information that you need to know. And it's from pretty much every interaction that you had with them. Those are the basic things that you always need to remember. And then the other bucket is information that was more pertinent to the last communication that you had with a customer. So for my first bucket, what I would do is I would think, what are those contact fields that I need to add about this customer? So in Textline, you have certain contact fields, and you can also add custom fields if your plan allows that. So you can even add custom fields so that you have more information on the contact page for your customer. You can pull up all of their contact info on the sidebar. So right next to your conversation, you can have a sidebar that shows all of the information about this account. In addition to adding information to the contact fields, what I recommend is using the notes field in the contact page, where you can add any notes that are really important about that account. For example, their location, or their time zone, or the medications that they take in this case, or if they had any issues with you in the past, or anything specific to this customer that you definitely don't want to miss. Now, going to the other bucket, I recommend something that's similar to what our customer did here, is after a conversation, summarize in a whisper what the conversation was about. So in Textline, you can always access your message history. So you can go into this conversation, for example, and go as far back as the first interaction that you had, the first conversation you had with this customer. So you need to know what has been said in the past. However, it takes time for every agent of yours to have to go back and look at every single conversation they had. So if you had like 5 or 10 text messages, back and forth text messages within a conversation, and then you resolve it, just leave a quick whisper, just summarizing, doing a recap of what is that you discussed with that customer. If in that conversation you've got really important information that you definitely want to know every single time you or any other agent engages into a conversation with this customer, just add it on the notes field on that context, so it always stays there with the customer. Great. So being proactive is something that we've discussed in a previous webinar on how to use texting to achieve proactive communication. So being proactive, it really shows your customers that you know what they need, and you're a step ahead of them, you're thinking about them, and you care about their success. So something that I've heard recently, and I can really resonate with this, is we need to try and work towards making our customers successful. So of course we want our customers to be happy with us, but then our customers' job is to push us to get better at what we do. So we can't have every customer happy, because a customer can be happy with us just because they know us or they like how we communicate. But making sure that our customers are successful will also mean that they will stay loyal to us, and because they have real proof of accomplishing what they need, and being able to use our product to achieve their goals. So by being proactive and showing them, giving them what is that they want, we achieve that greater goal. And of course, that shows how much we value our customers, and that speaks directly to customer-obsessed culture. All right, so so this example speaks again to what I said earlier about getting close to your customers, learning who they are and what they need, and giving it to them before they come around asking for it, or before they even realize they need it. So this company here, they are trying to recruit people for a specific position, and sometime earlier they had reached out or they posted a job, and then several people responded and showed interest. One of them was Adam, as you can see here. However, Adam wasn't recruited at that point. So they kept his contact information, and they reached out whenever the next opportunity came up. So you know how you apply to a position and they tell you, well, maybe you're not a good fit this time, or we already filled that position, but we will definitely keep your resume on our files and reach out to you when another opportunity comes up or when the right opportunity comes up. And a lot of the times that never happens. So this isn't great for the customer experience, but it's not also great for you, because you have to start all over again finding leads and creating a new pipeline all over again from the start to fill that position. So that costs money and time. Instead, you can create a tag here in TextLine and just tag all of those potential candidates that showed interest, or it could be anything else. It could be people who asked for a product feature, or people who were interested in a promotional offer. It could be anything. You just add a tag to their contact. This is also something that you can see every time you look at their contact. But every time you go and create an announcement, you can just say, okay, well, I want to reach out to all of those people who asked that feature. So you go to your announcements feature, and then when it comes to adding the contacts, you can pull the list of all of your tags and find the tag that speaks specific to that product request. So you send a text blast out to all of those people who asked you for something. You have them all there, so you just send a text, and your text can be personalized. So even though you send a blast, you can include their name in that text. Now TextLine has variable fields to pretty much every conversation that you have through TextLine. So your announcement could say, hi, Laura, this is Mary at TextLine. You asked about that feature. We just launched it, and here's a link for your reference on how to best use it. So simple, just 3 steps away, and then you send a personalized touch to so many customers who will actually go and use your product and use that new feature. So this company here, they used our API to automatically trigger this text. And as you can see, their potential candidate responded right away, yes. And then what you could do, and what our customer did, is they created an automation so that every time someone responded yes, they would automatically receive this text response to them, and also escalate this ticket to someone else who would then reach out to them. In this case, it would be HR. So all of the things that I mentioned, there are things that you can do with TextLine. You can use your API depending on your plan. You can create automations on any plan, and you can create announcements. So all of that stuff could be automated. All right, and last but not least is what I mentioned earlier, creating this personalized and unique interactions with your customers. So being friendly and nice is something that I know that we all know and we all want to do when we are in a conversation with a customer. Sometimes, though, it's harder to do if you're on a call because the customer could come into you with a lot of tension. That tension, though, is much easier to handle over a text through your computer instead of being on the phone with a customer and dealing with all of those emotions. So I think this is a really powerful text here that one of our customers received. So this is an e-commerce retail company. And this person said, I have exhausted all of other avenues, so hopefully someone can help me. So they tried calling, they tried emailing, they tried all of the other contact us options, and now they got to texting. I ordered my wife boots Monday, and as of today, the order still shows in process. The order was to ship the same day. I tried to pay expedited shipping, but wouldn't allow it. Called customer care, they told me nope. Sorry about your luck. I'm surprising my wife on our 14-day cruise departing Saturday. She's in love with these boots and wanted to surprise her with them. Any amount, I would pay any amount to get them here. I beg you, anyone, please help me out. So this is a real text, and you can see the desperation there. And of course, you can understand the frustration as well, right? But this customer is so desperate that they put, their desperation ahead of their frustration. And I have to say, I respect that. So they clearly said they called the call center, but you can imagine where you're an agent at a call center. Someone calls you and you're like, well, what I know is that there's nothing I can do about it because that's what I see here. That's what I see in my system. However, when you have the time and the kind of the space to think calmly and see all of the different options, you can advise the customer. You can be their advocate instead of just giving them the news, that I'm sorry, bad luck, there's nothing I can do about it. So when you're in your computer, you have the time to go and check or to whisper here with one of your managers or escalate, transfer this to one of your managers and say, can you please look into that? Or what is that we can do about this person here? Or all I know is that, there's nothing I can do. Is that true? Am I missing something? So those are all doable through texting, through text line. So you can see that the agent responded and they're giving them a solution. The customer is excited. Thank you for the fast response. I bet that's not what they received when they tried to call. And the agent responds, they stay pretty calm, very polite. Thank you, you're welcome. Happy early anniversary to you and your wife. Please keep an eye on the tracking UPS, blah, blah, blah. But you can see that now we can talk about the happy moments and we can talk about the positive things. You'll get your package and I'm here to celebrate with you. So I'm like your friend. A friend would text you and say, happy early anniversary, right? And then the language now shifts from being frustrated and desperate to being positive and optimistic. Awesome, I'm optimistic and hopefully it works out. Thank you again for the prompt response. It is appreciated. So even though they started with a negative experience, now all they remember is the positive outcome of the problem. And 80% of the, or actually no, so I recently read a study that said that the customers who experienced a problem and the agent on the other end, the company was able to switch that negative experience into a positive experience through resolving that issue. They had 80% chances to retain and make that customer loyal than a customer who never had to go through that, or a customer who had a negative experience of resolving that problem. So now you can see how you are the epitome of customer obsession, because this customer here not only thanked them and appreciated the positive outcome and the positive experience throughout resolving that issue, even though that was their second effort. The first one didn't go as well. They even texted them back to give them feedback. They texted back to say, boots arrived today, thank you. You know, who does that? Who would call and go through a call center or even a chat box where you don't feel like you talk to the same person? You have to go to the website and find the chat box and stay on that website. You just send a text and you say, thank you, I got the boots today. So you received positive feedback, which takes zero effort, but a lot of positive intentions from your customers to reach out to you. And then I love this agent. They said, yay, so happy to hear that. A lot of the other times I see that they add emojis, but isn't this a very personalized and unique conversation? This is like talking to a friend who's trying to help you out with an issue. And it's so easy to do this through texting. And it's so easy to show your agents to do it through texting. Your agents might not know how to do it, but you can just set the standards, give them the guidelines, give them the examples, and set the expectations, and just start doing this tomorrow. So that's all I wanted to show you today. I hope that was helpful, and I hope it inspired you to also, you know, work towards creating the customer obsessed culture. It definitely helps in any aspect of your business. The other thing I wanted to say, you know, this is how you can stay connected with us. So you can text us right away in TextLine. You can text us from TextLine if you just search for TextLine HQ on your TextLine account. Send us an email or ask for a demo if you're not yet signed up with TextLine. I'm gonna give us some time to see if there are any questions. I don't see any questions, but I do want to let you know that there is another webinar on our page, on our help center. If you search for TextLine webinars, you can find the webinar Intro to TextLine and the webinar for proactive communication. And then there's another webinar coming up on the same topic that speaks more about sales use cases. So thank you everyone for joining. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Have a great day.